My name is John Carpenter, Carpenter, Zuckerman Rowley. I've been a personal injury lawyer for 30 years now. Diana's case was pretty clear on liability. It doesn't get much clearer than that. Diana was on the way to her friend's house. They were going to her house on the Silverado Trail. They stopped on the way to get some strawberries. And while they're waiting to make a left-hand turn, a fully loaded dump truck driven by the County of Napa rear-ended her. And she was in the rear seat. You'll see in the illustration that the intrusion into the vehicle was really unsurvivable. It's a miracle that she survived. But she made a remarkable recovery, and in ways that was a challenge of the case. The defense case was her grades are better. She looks fine, she talks, she walks. She has no pain. Her life is better. I mean, their defense experts literally said her life was better now than it was before. And wasn't true, but it didn't stop them. So we had to look deeper. We scoured the educational records and found that she had spectacular ACT, SAT scores in the 90th percentile. Better than me by a long shot. And we also scoured the reports of the defense, their neuropsychologist, and defense neuropsychologists never agree with the plaintiff neuropsychologist ever. But there was one thing that they agreed upon, and that was that they both agreed that Diana had a 98 IQ after the wreck. And that's when my eyes lit up. That's when I said, this is what this case is about. I've never done an IQ case before. I've never framed a brain injury case around an IQ. But in this case, that was the only thing that we really had that couldn't be disputed. And it turns out that the military uses the ACT, SAT scores, and they correlate that to IQ quite a lot. And so we had our educational psychologist correlate it to about a 124 IQ to 118 IQ, which basically framed the case that as good as Diana is doing with her grades now, as good as Diana is doing in everything that you can see, she lost 20 IQ points. And that's hard to ignore. And so that was one of the reasons why, from the very beginning of this case, I started to do this video, because I knew that I wanted to have something that was clear, that was consistent, that was compelling, that was communicating our message to every layer of insurance. When you drive a dump truck fully loaded at 45 miles an hour, that delivers the same force as a vehicle going 162 miles an hour. So yeah, wow, right? And then you don't forget 162 miles an hour. The jury, the fact finder, all they can think about is 162 miles an hour, and they weren't even looking forward. They didn't even apply their brakes, and that's the truth. And that was the message that the video was so effective of communicating. It was one message, it was consistent, and I think that was really effective in communicating to them in a way that was able to get this case actually settled. The end result was a record settlement in the County of Napa. The record verdict in the County of Napa was somewhere in about $8 million. We settled this case for $15 million. One of the reasons why I think the case settled for what it did, because the defense knew that this video was coming in. And so that was what I used the video mostly, was to communicate the truth. The fundamental truth that this was a severe traumatic brain injury, that it was a miracle that she survived. Even though I spent so much time with Diana, when I told her the case had resolved, even I was surprised about the weight that was relieved of her just by the knowledge that this was finally over. And so I'm really proud to have gotten the settlement.